What's up, guys? I'm coming at you real quick because we have breaking news. Baker Mayfield just signed a 1-year deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to ostensibly be their starting quarterback, assuming he can beat out Kyle Trask, which that's not like a tall task. um, I know that a lot of you are probably going to want to tune in because I break down a lot of Baker Mayfield videos, and they're some of my most popular because I'm significantly more positive on his actual on field game than most people are. I wish I had better news for you. This is probably going to mark the end of Baker Mayfield's career. Let me explain why. So, a lot of you who don't pay extremely close attention to the NFL, or maybe you have one favorite team or a couple favorite players, or you really only pay attention to the games, uh, might not realize what a bad situation the Buccaneers are. So, yes, they won the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and yes, they were really close to going to the Super Bowl the year before last in 2021. But first of all, those teams overachieved because they had Tom Brady, who was at the time easily the best quarterback in the NFL. I know Aaron Rodgers won the MVPs, Brady played better football. The play calling under Byron Leftwich was terrible. People didn't really notice it until last year because Tom Brady stopped doing insanely transcendent things, but it was the same thing even when Bruce Arians was around. Now, Bruce Arians is no longer around and Todd Bowles has been promoted to head coach. He's a terrible coach. He's got a long track record of having underwhelming and really bad teams. He's extremely conservative on fourth downs, and he doesn't really believe in passing the ball. So even though he got rid of Byron Leftwich and brought in this Canales guy, Dave Canales from the Seahawks, I have no optimism whatsoever that Dave Canales is going to be an upgrade from Byron Leftwich because when a guy who has a backwards philosophy gets to pick who his offensive coordinator is, you're going to get an offensive coordinator with a backwards philosophy, right? So I don't expect the Buccaneers to have a significant upgrade at coaching. And frankly, it's not like Dave Canales is the most ballyhooed offensive coordinating prospect. Anyway, just getting into the roster, they don't have a run game, and their offensive line was iffy last year. It's going to be bad. Tristan Wirfs is still great. Ryan Jensen is good, but Tom Brady did make him look significantly better. They also intend to start Hainsey at right guard. He did a good job at center last year. He's fine. And right now it looks like it's going to be either Nick Leverett or Aaron Stinney at left guard, which is barely passable. And then at right tackle, they just have a glaring hole. The plan is currently to shift Luke Gadecki over there. But last year, playing guard, which is typically easier than tackle, Luke Gadecki looked like he didn't belong in the NFL. He was arguably the worst guard in the league. So the offensive line is not very good. They don't have a tight end because I don't think that Cade Otton is like a real guy. I think he could be serviceable, but he's not a real good starter. So now you're relying on an outside passing attack with a bad offensive coordinator and a terrible defense because, again, I know that their reputation is for having a great defense. They have Jamel Dean and Carlton Davis, who are a very good cornerback duo. Their linebackers now stink because they lost Levante David and Devin White's terrible. They don't have a strong safety yet. Uh, Logan Hall, their second round pick last year, is a complete bust. Again, probably the worst defensive tackle in the NFL. And they don't have any edge rushers. Shaq Barrett is extremely mediocre and now getting old, and Joe Tryon's another bust. This team is, as far as its roster goes, not so good. And as far as its coaching goes, terrible. I think that this is probably the last nail in Baker Mayfield's coffin, and I think it's appropriate that he pounded it in himself. Again, I'm aware that a lot of people call me a Baker fanboy in my comments because I'm low on Deshaun Watson, and I think that Baker Mayfield's actually a pretty good starting quarterback. But I've always giggled at it because I can't stand the guy. I think he makes terrible off field decisions, and I don't think he's that smart when it comes to football philosophy. Granted, I don't think Tom Brady's that smart when it comes to football philosophy. He likes running the ball too much. Baker Mayfield seems to place a premium on winning rather than process, and that's just the ignorant thought process. It seems that Baker Mayfield has jumped to the first place that offered him a guaranteed starting spot and has kind of looked past everything else and just convinced himself that this is a really good opportunity. And frankly, it's really nice closure for me because now when his career doesn't pan out the way it probably should have, I won't feel bad. It was his decision. He made a terrible decision, and he's going to lose his career because of it. Sucks, but it is what it is. I still expect the Buccaneers to be a really bad team. And even if Baker Mayfield plays really, really good football, even if he is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, I expect this to be a bottom 10 team because their coaching staff is awful, probably the worst in the league, and their roster is low key pretty bad. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are both really good players, right? And I mean, that's assuming they're healthy and young still, right? Mike Evans is quickly getting older and constantly has a pulled hamstring. And Chris Godwin has been really injured the last 2 years. So I don't think you can count on that. Russell Gage is a very good third wide receiver as well, but three good wide receivers with a bad offensive line and a bad coaching staff is not a great recipe for success. It would be great if Baker Mayfield proved me wrong, but I think I'm finally ready to say that's it for him. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think he's going to transcend this terrible coaching staff? Do you think that the Buccaneers are going to be able to pull something together? Because this division no longer looks so weak, right? The Saints have restocked, and Derek Carr is a solid quarterback. They'll be at least as good as they were last year. And low key, the Panthers have a great coaching staff and are putting something together. Andy Dalton at least sets the floor for them at quarterback at pretty damn competent. So I think that the Buccaneers probably win 6 games if Baker's a top 10 quarterback next year. And obviously, if they have a top 10 pick, they are looking to replace him. And that's probably going to be it for him unless he wants to go be a cheap backup somewhere. All right. If I were Baker Mayfield's agent, I would have sat him down and explained to him that starting isn't necessarily the only thing that matters this year. I would have begged him to go play for the San Francisco 49ers on the veteran minimum and just completely reinvigorate his career and have a great season doing so because Brock Purdy might not be ready to start. And even if he is, I think Baker Mayfield beats him out in training camp for the starting job. Instead, Sam Darnold did that and took his opportunity away from him. That's just Baker not having foresight. If the 49ers aren't an option, I would have tried to stay with the Rams. Matt Stafford's old and injured. The Rams have a good coach, and it's a city he likes. If you have to sit a year and wait to inherit the throne, do it. You're going to be with Sean McVay. You're going to have a decent offensive line, and you're going to have Cooper Kupp. Instead, Baker Mayfield jumped for the brass ring. I'm assuming the Buccaneers were the only team that said, come here and you're our starter. And look what it got him. I think he's screwed. Sometimes it pays to be aggressive, fortune favors the bold, but sometimes patience is a virtue. And I think Baker Mayfield blew his wad. All right. Let me know what you guys think. Hit me with a like. Tell me if you like this editorial content. And until next time, I'll be grinding film. Hasta.